Hello everyone. Can you all see me? This is Jess Marlor doing a VYC bridge tutorial and live stream about whatever you need to learn about Noteflight. It's a program that I love and have used for ages, and I'm really excited to be sharing it with all of you. But for now, bear with me as I kind of learn how to live stream and see if this is the best platform for sort of office hours. I'm going to be, during this time, I think I'm going to just write a piece on Noteflight, and you can feel free to ask me questions in the chat window whenever you feel like you have a question about Noteflight or want me to try something out and see how I would go about it. Just let me know what you want to see and what you want to try out. This live stream is really just for you guys. I'm not necessarily going to teach a lesson, but I'm here to help you navigate Noteflight if you have any specific questions. So you'll find this awesome chat window. I'm going to say something into the chat window right now. Hi, it's Jess. And then I also want you all to comment in the chat window so that I can see what questions you're asking, what you're interested in, how I can help, and whatnot. Excuse me as I check my email to make sure that this is live streaming. All right, so I'm gonna go check to see if I have any, if I have any viewers. I have one viewer. All right, one viewer. Do you have any insight on what kind of score I should be doing? Let's start from a blank score. You guys know how to do that from my first tutorial. But what can I do here? There's so much to do. I have one viewer. So I think I'm just gonna kind of write some stuff and experiment and see what happens. If I see that more viewers are coming in, I'll start to ask some questions to the group. But for now, I'm just gonna kind of play around with Noteflight, show you some cool things that you can do. So right now, this is a big no-no because I have my quarter note equal 120, and we always want to change that. So I'm gonna do, let's make a faster piece. So like one, I don't know. That could be fun. A little bit of a faster piece. I've been really wanting to write a duet for trumpet and singer. Maybe I'll experiment with that. Actually, for that piece, I want to start it much slower. So I'm going to go in there and change my tempo to something like, I don't know, 88 beats per minute. I like it. I like a good 88. Yeah, let's do that. And then remember to get rid of this one that they put in there. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to add some instruments. Remember how to do that? We go to parts. I don't know why you can't see the guitar, but that's where the parts are. And I'm going to add trumpet. And I'm going to add voice. I'm going to do soprano voice because that's my voice part, and we love a soprano. All right. I'm going to delete that piano part because I don't need it right now. I kind of wanted to do a piece where they're like breathing in unison and like making music together. So I guess let's just do something really, really simple. Actually, and now that I'm sort of thinking this through, like, this is another important thing, is you can have a great idea for a melody or a great idea for a rhythm, and you can just kind of start sketching it out, and then sometimes you'll realize what time signature it needs to be in. So for this, I sort of want something that's like da 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 da. And I'm realizing now as I'm singing that out loud that that's in 3/4. So I'm going to change it by clicking on this and clicking OK. All right. So now if I sang something that was like da 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 da, what would I do there? I would make that take up the whole measure. Very cool. Now, I'm going to take a little break because I have a few more viewers, but does anyone have any questions? If so, why don't you pop those into the chat window? I also might check in on my live stream. So sorry that you're seeing all this, but this is the live stream window. I just want to make sure that it's looking good. Although it's going to be really weird to see myself from like 1 minute ago. I'm so lonely here. Doesn't anyone have anything that they want to contribute? Okay, if not, I'll just keep going along with my piece. It'll be great. All right. Oh, you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to have this be in unison. So what I did was, remember, click the you can either click the first note or you can click the last note, but all you have to do is press shift to sort of select that whole passage. And then I'm going to do Command C for copy and Command V for paste, so that same line appears in the soprano line. But now that I'm realizing, I don't really want to start my piece with that. I kind of want to start it like a lot slower, a little bit more different and hesitant. So I feel like this is not really a hesitant opening line. So I'm going to change that to be a little bit later. So what I'm going to do is I'm selecting all of this by clicking that first note and holding down shift and then clicking this note. And basically how you do it is it's similar to a click and drag function where you like click and you drag the whole window, but you have to do it by clicking and pressing shift. It's just how it works. But anyway, I want to move this fragment a little bit later, so I'm going to press Command X to cut it. And I'm going to place it here in measure 6. I might want it later. I might want it later in the piece, but for now, measure 6 works. One thing that is a little finicky about Noteflight is if I just select this measure and press V, they're going to say this clipboard contains 2 staves, but the selection contains 1. So, super easy. All you do is press Shift to also select this at the same time, and then I press V and we're good to go. Very cool. Now, let's see if I can do anything fancy here. But I think I just want... I think I'm just going to want a half note and have that rest. And then I'm going to have them sing that on an A. What kind of sound is like a trumpet if you were to sing it? A works, I think. Cool. And then I'm going to copy the same here. So copy and then Command V, but a trumpet can't really sing a note. So we delete that and we have the same thing. Now I kind of want to give like an indication of what I'm doing here or what I'm hoping to do. So I'm going to add kind of funny like performance text. Let's get a performance text up here. I mean, that's kind of silly, but that's what I'm going for. Though maybe it would be better. Oh, if I did this system text, here we go. See, I sometimes still am learning how Noteflight works. When I started using Noteflight, it had just come out. Like, it was maybe a year old, and I had no idea how to use it. It was very basic. Pretty much all you could do was input notes using your mouse. You couldn't do any key clicks. Key clicks came a little bit later. And so every time I kind of log into Noteflight, I'm like, oh, that's a thing that they never had before. That's so cool. And, you know, since getting different softwares as an adult, the more times that I come back to Noteflight, the more I'm like, wow, this is actually a really cool software. It lets you do a lot of things that you can't do elsewhere, which is why I love it so much. In unison, whoops. All right. I haven't checked in a while. How is everyone doing? See, just to give that some space, I just did a few space. Oh, well, there we go. What about, well, why is that not happening? Well, maybe in my next tutorial, I will figure out how to actually move text like that. Oh. Okay, so now that I have some things on the page, does anyone have any questions? Anything that they want to have answered? What are you making? Please, you know, put anything you want in the chat. I'd love to hear about what you're thinking about, what you're trying out. You know, Noteflight is here to experiment and have fun. So tell me what you're trying out. And, you know, let me know if you have any questions. Yeah. Have you guys been creating more, you think, or creating less? Since closing for schools. I feel like I've been creating more. I feel like I'm more relaxed and alert and have more fun creating because I'm not on a deadline. But yeah, sometimes it can feel hard to write. It still can sometimes feel hard to write, but I want to hear about what you guys are experiencing. And if not, then I'm going to keep going, plugging along with my piece. Okay. So this little soprano trumpet piece. Oh, I want to make sure that these have slurs. So I'm going to do that same thing again, the shift and click to select the whole measure. And then I'm going to press this S for slur. There you go. Look at that. So easy. Now, one thing that I always forget to do, and I think is super important when you're writing music, is to make sure that you have dynamic markings. I want this to be really soft expression text. What do we do for really soft? PP. And then I also want that for trumpet. So I'm going to do that. And now I didn't go back up into expression text. All I did was click that and copy and paste when selecting this note here. You can do it any way you want, but that's just how I do it. Yeah. You're probably going to hear me singing and just trying out different things. I kind of want to see like how far I can take Noteflight. That sounds crazy, but just kind of see what I can and can't do in this software. Because I bet there's a lot we can do. We just haven't tried it out yet. It's kind of fun. Ooh, hide show measures. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want to do. So, ooh, here's a fun thing. Ooh. Here is a very fun thing. I hid this measure because I kind of want there to be like a break Let's see if I can do this right. Okay, that works. See, you can still see it, but it's kind of hidden. Did not want it to page break. See, even I struggle with Noteflight sometimes. Okay, well, maybe I'll try that out on my own time. So for now, and then this is my big rule of thumb. If you do see how I clicked this hide show measure and then everything disappeared? I got really scared for a second and my heart's totally stopped, but all I have to do is use 2 fingers. I press Command and I press Z, and that undoes the first thing I did, and then this is undoing the second thing I did. Well, there we go. Now we're all back. Great. Good. Okay. So now we're back up to where we were before. Let's see some other things we can do. Let's check out all of these. Parts, formatting. Formatting is kind of helpful sometimes. We'll go over that on another tutorial, but for now, we'll do that. All right, do we have any questions? I feel like there are people who are wanting to ask questions, but I haven't heard any yet. I would love to see your questions. And if I'm missing any questions, if you have been like typing questions for the past 5 minutes and you're like, why isn't Jess answering? You can also send me an email. I believe all of you have my email, but you can do that as well. Okay, while I sit here and noodle through Noteflight, I'm gonna just tell you a little bit about the seltzer I'm drinking. Yesterday, I drove. I'm actually broadcasting from Maryland. I relocated to get out of the city and be closer to family. And I went to the supermarket to, get whatever goods I might need, and I really wanted some seltzer because I was like, I should be drinking water. I know I'm going to want some fun seltzer while I'm quarantined. And so the only seltzer they had left in the store was this can of Polar Seltzer Junior, and it's a Halloween themed seltzer called Mermaid Songs, and it kind of tastes like candy corn, and I don't know if I like it, but it is doing the trick, it's what I wanted. I wanted seltzer, but it tastes pretty bad. So let me know if any other funny things have happened to you. I want to hear about what you guys are up to, what you're doing, how you are. If you're like me, bridge is the highlight of my week, so I get really sad when I miss it, and I have been continuously sad. So I just love to hear from you guys and see what's up in your lives and how you're doing, and if you're making cool music. So please just throw stuff in the chat window if you want to chat. But for now, since nobody has any questions, please don't be afraid to ask a question. No question is too simple. This is a hard thing. Making music and notating it well is a really, really hard skill. A lot of people my age, I know I look like I'm 19, but I'm not. A lot of people my age still don't know how to notate really well. It's just really challenging. So be patient with yourselves and figure some stuff out and ask me questions. That's what I'm here for. Okay, so Jessica Mays, thank you so much. My first question. So she says, hey Jess, could you walk through how to open a new document and what that looks like? 2, add instruments. 3, copy and paste music between instruments. And 4, change instruments. Okay, so I covered a lot of this in my first tutorial video. If you want to check that out, it's super helpful and less rambly than my live stream. But it's super easy. All right, I am going to show you how to do that. I'm going to save this because why not? Who knows? Who knows when I will want to use this? Okay, so I'm going to go back to my profile. And whenever you click on your profile, your little face here, phantom face, you can easily create a score by going up to this left-hand corner and pressing the create button. And that takes you to the page that's going to like show you exactly how to start setting up a score. Now, the awesome thing about Noteflight is it does most of the work for you. So I'm gonna always want you folks to start from a blank score sheet. It's really, really helpful. If you know what instrument you want to use, you can just scroll down here. I'm just scrolling down through this and you can try different, oh, let's do a barbershop quartet. Why not? Okay, barbershop quartet. All right, so, well, I have no idea how I would notate something like this, but pretty easy. So I have a barbershop quartet right now set up. And it always will start in 4/4 in C major, and it will always give you quarter note equals 120. That is always what Noteflight will set you up as, and that is the default. I'm always going to want you to think about these things before going forward and writing music. Do I really want a piece that is quarter note 120? Oftentimes you want something a little slower or a little faster than that, so make a change. Let's have this be super fast. My last thing I was working on was super slow, so let's do that. Cool. Awesome. 140, and then you can see that it changes right here. If I click on this and just delete it, then it'll go away. Make sure that when you're adding something, you're not adding like you're not canceling out something else. Just be kind of vigilant about making sure that it looks the way that you see scores, in other areas of your life. If you're taking an instrument and you see scores, just, take one up and compare it next to your Noteflight and see if that's lining up. Okay, so, all right, open a new document and add instruments. Okay, cool. So this is a barbershop quartet, which is, kind of a funny thing to write for. Adding instruments is super easy and you can do it at any point in the process. So I could be, I don't know, this is just, say I put a whole bunch of D's here and then this, I don't know, was up here, a B. I don't really know. I'm just kind of inventing things. Say I do that and I have all these parts up here. I can still, even though this is filled up, if I add another part, which is going to be up here in your sort of control dock, it's going to be up by score, and it's the first thing you click on. I don't know why mine is not showing up. I think it's because I'm live streaming and taking a bunch of space up on my computer, but normally there's a guitar right here, so if you click the guitar for parts, it will pop this little window up in the right hand corner right here. And all you have to do is add a part. So, I don't know, shout something out. What should I add? Oh wait, like a minute, half a minute, maybe a few seconds. But let me know, what should I add to our barbershop quartet? Okay, I haven't heard anything, so I'm gonna add what goes well with barbershop quartet, or what have we never heard with a barbershop quartet? Maybe a tuba. Let's do a tuba. All right, so then you can see the tuba line comes straight up and it has nothing in it. No matter how many measures I've filled up, the next instrument you have is going to have nothing in it. Say I wanted to add another instrument, say a percussion part. I would click add part again over in this parts window. I'd go to probably unpitched percussion. Let's add a cymbal. Cool. Great. Look at that. So then that's me adding parts, and you can add as many parts as you want. Any other instruments we want to add? Bowed strings, woodwinds. Okay, for now, I'm just going to keep it with these already ridiculous combination. But that's how you add instruments. You always go up in this window over here. I'm calling this like your control dock. It's this area up here on Noteflight that has all of the kind of like, I don't know, Noteflight hieroglyphics that are here that show you what, or like Noteflight emojis, I guess, that show you what they want you to do or what you can do. You always go to this guitar one, and that will show you this parts window. Now when you're like done and you're like, I can't see the whole window because this parts thing is here, all you do is press delete, or you press X out. Now if I go back in, you can also choose to hide it or isolate it. So if you just click this, it'll isolate that one part. But for now, I want to show all of them, so I will click all of them. Say I wanted to see the tuba and the cymbal part. What I would do is I would deselect the baritone bass and the tenor lead part. And there you go. It's pretty easy. It's pretty user-friendly. And say I'm like, wow, I do not want that tuba anymore. We go back to this parts window and we delete that tuba part. And now it's just a barbershop quartet and a cymbal, which is very scary proposition. Okay, so we have covered opening a new document. We have covered adding instruments. And now I want to show you how we copy and paste music between instruments. Okay, so this is a pretty rudimentary score. I didn't really put any thought into it other than just throwing notes on the page. So I'm just going to show you really quick how I'm going to copy and paste parts into different instruments. Okay, so say I want the baritone and bass to sing in unison with the tenor and lead part. What I would do is, it's the same as like a click and drag function. Like if you are in, like for example, here we go. So like if you're in notes here and I'm saying like, hi, my name is Jess and I am doing a super cool Noteflight tutorial. Don't speak and type at the same time. It's really, really hard to do. So you know how this is sort of the same thing as I click and I drag to select all of that. It's the same idea, but you have to tell the computer that you're clicking and dragging, because I could press this note and drag it and it just kind of does weird stuff. So we don't want to do that. What we want to do is press the first note, similarly to how you're going to start highlighting with the first phrase or first letters. You're going to start with the first note. You're going to press shift on your keyboard, shift. And then I guess I'll do these 2 measures. I'll do the whole thing, why not? All these 4 measures. And I then click on the last part that I want to select. And that will select that whole phrase. Now, what I do is super easy. It's the same as in Word or any word processor you use or in Notes or whatever. And I just do copy, which is Command-C on a Mac. And I believe it's Control-C. I'm not really sure what it is on a PC or a Microsoft computer. I have not used one in eons, but on a Mac it's Command-C, and that will copy what I have highlighted. And then I go wherever I want to paste that line. So say I want it to happen I don't know, a measure after this tenor lead, I would click this measure, press Command V, which is paste. And then there you go. Look, that whole section pasted to here. The only reason it looks different is because there are different clefs. So just keep that in mind. Okay, cool. So that's how you copy and paste. It's a little tricky, but maybe get the hang of it by, you know, trying out your own piece. You can even do something as simple as adding a, I know a lot of you play violin, so let's just do a violin part. Something really simple. Violin solo part we'll add. Okay, say we want our violin solo to do something like this. Yeah, something like that. And we want that to be repeating throughout the, you know, what these barbershop quartet is singing. Say we want that to just repeat throughout the whole piece. All I would do is select the first note. I would press Shift, and then I select the last note, and that highlights the whole phrase. Now, you can do two things. If you want to just repeat something into the next measure, you can press R, which I'm going to do right now, and that will repeat what you have highlighted into the next measure. But what if I want it to happen one measure of rest and then that same line come in? Well, I would do something like this. I would click the first note, press Shift, click the last note, and then I'd press Command C, which is copy. And now I don't want to put anything in this measure because that's how we're doing it today. But I would add it to this measure, and I would press Command V. And then say I wanted to keep this measure empty, so it's kind of like a cool pattern. All I would do is just click this to highlight the whole thing, and then press Command V again. Now, whatever you copy in that moment is going to stay. So I just copied that. Whatever you copy in the moment is going to stay the thing that you're going to paste until you choose to copy a new thing. Does that make sense? So if you are copying a whole phrase, that will always be the phrase that you will then paste if you press Command V until you decide to copy something else. Like say I want to copy this, copy V, and now I'm pasting something differently. Does that make sense? Cool. Now, changing instruments is a little bit harder. You can't just kind of go in here and type like, I don't know, piano. I can't really do that because you'll still kind of hear the voices. You really have to go, I'm gonna go back and change that because it's gonna bug me. You really have to just kind of start from scratch, which is pretty annoying, I know, but all you have to do is just click this guitar icon, good old click, and add part. Say I really like my violin part, but I only can find a viola player. So I say, oops, I guess I'll make the viola play that line. I would go up here, add part. I would add a viola solo. Okay, great. I know that it's really out of order right here, and you're definitely going to want to pay attention to the ordering. But for now, I'm just going to kind of talk about mechanics of Noteflight, so I'm not going to bother us with that. Anyway, so say I really like this violin line, but I can only find a viola player, and I want to keep this part exactly as it is. All I would do is kind of the same idea. I would click this first note of the violin line, press Shift all the way until the end of that violin line here. I'd click that. I would press Copy, or even you could press Command X, which is cut. Cut. And that would delete the whole violin line. And then I would paste it using Command V in the viola section. So pretty easy to change instruments. But you do have to do it manually. There's not something like, oh, I click viola and I change it to tuba. You have to add a new part and then paste the previous part you had into that section. Does that make sense? Okay, if it does not make sense, please just ask more questions. Does anyone have any more questions right now? I have about like 25 minutes left. Oh, I see that I have 9 people. Wow. Okay, so if anyone has any more questions, happy to answer them. Yeah. Noteflight is really fun. While I'm waiting for my questions, I'm going to show you one of my favorite things to do in Noteflight. Now, I think we've talked about this little dock here. These 3 lines, they really bring up a whole bunch of options. And if you click any of them, it will add it to your control dock up here. See what I'm saying? So if I wanted to click layout and I click that, it would appear up here. Super helpful. So you can customize your dock. And I highly recommend, just thinking about what you're going to need in a piece, but also you can always customize your dock at any time. It's super easy, but just give it a kind of poke through it because it really has just a ton of interesting information. Okay, so one of my favorite things to do is add colors. Noteflight is really cool because you can add pretty much any color to things, and sometimes it's just kind of a fun thing to do. I'm sure now we're gonna get a ton of pieces with colored lines, but I like colored lines, so I like pink, so I'm gonna change that to pink. Super easy. Okay, how do I show? Thank you so much, Larissa. Thank you so much. I will show you how to show the measure numbers, and then later start the measure numbers over. Okay, I'm not entirely sure that I know how to do this easily and quickly, so just bear with me, but I believe show measure numbers is, See, you gotta just kind of search around sometimes. Let's check a few things. Sound view. Let's get rid of this window because it's kind of blocking what I'm seeing. I actually have to open this all up. Okay, page turner. Okay, so Larissa, this is a great question because I thought I knew exactly how to do it, and now I'm like, where do I go? So whenever you are kind of working in Noteflight, sometimes there's going to be things and you're like, I just have no idea how to do this. And you just kind of got to poke around a little bit. Oh, look, I think this is where it is in formatting. Show bar numbers above every measure. Let's do that because right now the default for Noteflight is not showing measures until this second system. So it starts with a 3. Very cool. What if and it gives you the option to click to show bar numbers above every measure. So I'm going to do that. And I did this by going up to this formatting icon. I'm sorry, not everything is showing up. I'm just realizing that my internet is kind of all going to the live stream, so some things aren't showing up. But formatting up here, I just clicked that, and then it brought me to full score to general, and that's where I can show more bar numbers. And now we have, the 1 is given, right? The 1 makes sense. We all know that that's the first measure. And then you see 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Super easy, right? There's a bunch of things that you can do in this formatting window. And it helps you kind of customize the way that you want the score to be. So you can change text size. I know that's really something you're probably not interested in, but you really can customize whatever you want if you just kind of look for it. And then look, you can even go into the part score and change it for the part score. Super, super easy. So just to recap, the way that we make sure that we show bar numbers is by going up to this formatting panel in the sort of middle to right upper hand corner, and then clicking full score, and then right in general is show bar numbers. Okay, now you also asked about starting bar numbers over from scratch. This is going to be pretty tricky because Noteflight's brain is really not as sophisticated as anyone's, as yours especially. It's a machine and it only really does what it knows how to do. So it really only knows how to move in consecutive order with the bar numbers. But if you wanted to say write two pieces that fit together on a score, and then you, I don't know, wanted to add like a second movement and have it start from 0, you would have to start a whole new score, which is pretty much a bummer. But if you were to start a second score for your second movement of your symphony and wanted to keep everything in the same file, you would do, I believe that you can go into, I believe that there is a way to mesh scores together, but I'm going to write that down and get back to you about that, because that's something that I've never done. And I want to make sure it's possible and then show you how to do it. So Larissa asked me the question, how do I start over the measure numbers? And I'm sorry, Larissa, I can't really answer this question fully, but I promise I will get something to you as soon as I possibly can. It's something I've never done before. Oh, awesome. How do I create triplets? Thanks, Jessica Mays. Awesome. Cool. You know what? I'm going to delete all of this chaos to show you how to add triplets. And how I'm going to delete it, I'm going to show you exactly how. I'm going to click this last measure, and then I'm going to press Shift to highlight everything. Shift is your friend. Cool. Now we got to do even more here. All right. So now I just have this baritone, bass, and viola. But let's just do viola. Let's get rid of that. I kind of want to solo. Let's imagine that we are creating a string quartet, and we want to have the viola creating some sort of pretty triplet measure. So we'll have the viola going along C, C, C. And I did that by inputting C as a key command, but you can also do it by using this like phantom note thing. And then I just repeat, repeat, repeat. So maybe I want C, 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 and then a triplet. Okay, so triplets, you go down into rhythm in this 3-bar area. You can find rhythm is down here. So I'm going to click rhythm, and clicking it adds it to my dock, adds it to my my control dock up here. If you just want to do something once and don't really want to crowd up space on your dock, you can just click right here like I'm doing here for this triplet. The other thing you can do is always make notice of the key command that is going to be on the right hand side of whatever sort of function you have. So I know that in the future, if I want to create a triplet, all I do is press 3. Pretty cool. All right, so I have that triplet, but I didn't really want it to be a triplet that takes up the space of one quarter note. I wanted it to be a triplet in quarter notes. So I know that to do that, I'm going to press Control Z to delete that. I know that to do that, I need to first make this note into the duration that I want the entire phrase of triplets to be. I know that's kind of confusing. I wish I had a better way to say it. If anyone else has a better way to say it, just let me know. But when you're creating triplets in any sort of notation software, you are going to want to indicate the entire duration of that triplet phrase. So I know that I want it to take up 2 beats, and then I'm going to press 3 on my keyboard, and there we go. We have a triplet. We have a quarter note triplet. Oopsie. And then to highlight that first note so I could repeat it in a C, I'm going to use my directional pad to kind of scroll through and hit the note that I want to repeat, and I'm going to press repeat. Oh, see? Did something really silly. And if you ever do something really silly or you have no idea how something happened, you just press Command Z and it will come back to normal. Okay, great. So I'm just going to do this by hand by doing this like this. Cool. And then I'm going to go back to my normal phrase. Okay, so now I have this really cool viola line, and great. And now I want to turn this into like a string quartet and show you how to print individual parts. Okay, so what we're going to do is go up to score, go to parts, and add parts. Cool, add parts. We're going to go into strings, cello. We're going to add that cello. We're also going to add 2 violins. Okay. And now I'm just going to order this in the correct order by bringing the violin up, clicking and dragging to bring this other violin up, and then we're in the right order. Awesome. Look, we have all our parts. Now, just to show you a little bit what it might really look like instead of throwing at you a bunch of blank bars. I'm going to click and press Shift and click the last note, and I'm going to kind of stagger these. Like I'll put it in the top violin part, why not? And then I'll stagger it down here. I'll put it in the cello part. I'm going to take that down an octave though, and I'm taking it down an octave by using the directional keypad and just pressing down, 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 down. Cool, now it's down an octave. And then maybe I want, now remember I still have that whole line, I still have that line copied, but I'm just going to go in here, I'm going to add a measure after, and then I'm going to Command V, that same line, but I'm going to take that up an octave. Why not? This is just for fun. Okay, cool. So I have my string quartet piece. Type string quartet 1, which is a bad name for a piece, so I'm going to delete it and type in the first thing I can think of, which is ramen noodle. Okay, great. So I have this piece, and I want to print out individual parts. You can do this a few ways, but probably the easiest way to do it is to go into this parts window. Sorry, this is not going away. Is go into this parts window, which I had up because I added parts. But remember, it's always up here, score, and then you go over 1 to parts. It's a guitar symbol. I'm sorry that my symbol isn't showing up right now, but this is normally a guitar symbol. So the easiest way to do this is to kind of just go through individually and click show, and then you can show just the violin part for my piece, ramen noodle. And then I want to just show this other violin line. So this is the second violin part for ramen noodle. And then this is the viola part for ramen noodle. Then this is the cello part for ramen noodle. And then when I want them, and then what you would do is you would print these individually. I actually haven't printed things in a very, very long time, so excuse me as I kind of figure this one out. Flow view, perform view. I haven't printed in a very long time. As you can probably tell. And I think maybe, oh, it's the print key. Okay, so if I have my piece up and I have the part I want, you just click up here to print, and you can print the full score or you can print it by individual parts, but I'm always going to want you to go through and just look at your parts, okay? So you can do that long process, and I think it's helpful because you see what each part look like, but you can also just go to print and click print individual parts, or you can press print score and individual parts to have all of the things you could ever need. Okay, great. So that's pretty easy. I want to go back into parts because I want to show everything now. And I'm just going to go to this little show window over here and click, click, click to have everything show back up. And now you can see my whole score for my string quartet ramen noodle, which if anyone wants to play this, that would be, that could be kind of fun. Okay, so here are 2 more questions that I'm going to answer, and then I have to go offline at 5 o'clock. So get your questions in. Let's get some questions rolling. But the last 2 questions that I got was, how do you send the audio of a piece to someone? I haven't done this in a really, really long time, so just bear with me, as you all have so well. Bear with me as I kind of figure it out, but I'm not, but I'm very certain that you can send the audio via Noteflight, so we'll try that. Okay, so for pretty much anything related to playing or hearing audio, you go to this play icon up here in the left-hand corner right next to the Noteflight icon. And then I click that. All right, so it'll start to play my piece. Great. Now I believe, sorry guys, this is something I haven't done in a long, long time. So, oh no. Oh no. Okay, we're back. Okay, good. We're back. All right. So, sound, grace note. All right, while I'm figuring this out, you can use this time to ask some more questions before I leave you. This is something I haven't done in a very long time. Let's see what export does. Ah, we did it. Okay, so this is kind of the fun of Noteflight, is figuring out how to get things. A very easy thing that you could do is export it to a Midi file, which would be playable in something like GarageBand. If you want like a full MP3 file, I might have to get back to you at that. I'm going to write it down and make another video tutorial, MP3. We'll see if it's possible. Sometimes things like this are not possible in Noteflight, but for now, exporting to Midi is something you can do, and I did that by going up to Export Score. And look, there's so many things you can do. You can go full score, individual parts, like we've had a few questions about how to print part scores, but individual parts, full score and individual parts, Midi. I wouldn't worry about these 2 things unless you're using a different music software, and this one is, it's sort of its own thing. Okay, so I'm gonna get back to you about a better way to export audio, but for now, use that export to Midi. That will help you for the time being. Okay, for triplets, sometimes it doesn't let me do 3/8 notes. It does an 8th note, then a 16th note, then an 8th note. How do I change that? Okay, so I think that this kind of is related to the idea that when you are creating a triplet in any type of notation software like this, you have to know ahead of time the duration of the entire triplet phrase. So, for example, if I wanted a triplet phrase that was full of 8th notes, I would want to select a triplet for 1 quarter note because I know that that's going to last the whole quarter note time. It's a little complicated. It's definitely not user-friendly, but you absolutely can do it if you just kind of try a few things. Okay, so which part should I add this 16th note triplet to? Okay, I guess maybe here. Okay, I'll do something like this. Okay, now I'm going to choose the duration I want. So if you want 8th note triplets, you're going to want to select a quarter rest. Okay, and then I'm going to go up to rhythm. Ooh. Press triplet here, and I have 3 triplets. Now what I think you're doing, what I think might have happened is you press that first note. I'm going to get rid of this so you can see. Is you press that first note and then you press repeat, which I did before, and then it did this chaos. But you don't want to do that. What you want to do when you're inputting triplets is just put them in by hand, just like that. Pretty simple. I just use my mouse and clicking to do something like that. Does that make sense? And Yumi is the one who asked the question about the triplets. If you want to send me a score and have me look at it, let me know. That sounds like a problem that might be in relationship to your score. But yeah. Oh, actually, Larissa, I'm sorry, I'm confused by the YouTube names. But Larissa, if you have a question specifically about your triplets, why don't you share your score with me? Super easy. You just go up to score details, and then you share it down here with me. Share score individuals, and I'm happy to look at it and let you know. Oh, hey, all sorts of people from Bridge 1. Hello, I miss you all. Bridge 1 is my favorite part of the week, and I'm very sad that I miss it now. But this is almost as cool. Is it cooler? Is it less cool? Let me know. Okay, so for this triplets are hard in Noteflight. They are not, Noteflight definitely is not built to be triplet centric. So if you have a burning question and something is really just continuously messing you up, just send me the score. I can help you work through it. Okay, how does the mixer work? Okay, so let's go check out the mixer. We're gonna go and play again here in the left-hand corner. I don't really want to hear it because it's just kind of a random silly piece that I wrote. Okay, so we're gonna go up here to, you notice you can toggle between these two things. Edit, which means I'm writing the score, and play, which means I'm kind of listening and thinking about the score. Okay, Gil said it's less cool, which I think it's more cool. It's cool, all virtual. Okay, so how the mixer works. I am here in this play window that I get by toggling up in this left-hand corner. Now I'm gonna go to this little bar, it looks like volume bars. That's the mixer bar. Mixer is helpful for, it can be helpful for a variety of things. In my experience, I've used a mixer before if I do a lot of work with singers. So if I'm wanting to send a piano score to a singer and have the piano be really loud and the voice part be really, really soft so they can practice, you can shift things on the mixer. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to navigate, I think. If you click this mixer, it'll show up this little this little box here that shows all the parts, all the individual parts in their volume. So I don't know, if I wanted the cello to be super loud, I would bring this all the way over, and I might bring everything a little bit softer. But you can kind of play around with the mixer, see what it sounds like. Here, let's put them all at the same level. We will listen to Ramen Noodle, which is probably not my best piece, but it's still whatever. It's fun. Beginning, we'll press play. You can kind of hear all the parts of the same volume. Cool. They're all the same volume. Now, I really want that cello to be super loud, so I'm going to, on the mixer, just bring it all the way over to the sort of like louder side and bring everything a little bit softer. You can also use this to isolate parts, and isolate parts means having a part that is solo in itself by, you know, clicking or selecting or deselecting the lines. So let's play this again with the cello being super loud. Everything else is soft. See, now, okay. So that's how it works. It's pretty self-explanatory. But the mixer is fun to play around with if you, you know, want to try out other things. Wow, okay, we have a lot of comments. Can I rewatch the live even after the live is finished? Yes, you can. I set this up so that you guys can watch this for as long as possible. Thank you, Micah, for telling me that Ramen Noodle is a great piece. Let's flesh out Ramen Noodle next week, and you can ask questions about my award-winning string quartet Ramen Noodle. Yeah, ask me questions about it. I'll show you how to do stuff. This will be kind of my fun tester piece where we try out whatever comes into our minds. Yeah. Okay, so it's about time for me to sign off. Thank you all so much for joining in. I love seeing all the comments and hearing you guys chat with each other over the comments. It just makes me feel like I'm in bridge again, which is the best part of the week, and I'm really sad that I'm not in it, but it's really fun to like hear all your little virtual voices in the chat window. But I hope you guys have a great week. I will see you at the same time next week. I will be here Thursday at 4 p.m. If that time doesn't work for you anymore because of school, like, just let me know. We can always change the time. I am extremely flexible, and this is super fun for me, so I would do it 3 times a week if I could. All right, I hope you all have a great day and a great weekend, and wash your hands and stay safe, and maybe make cookies. Actually, if your mom is like, don't make cookies, be like, my TAA Jess said I had to make cookies. So yeah. And then as always, feel free to email me with questions or keep asking questions wherever. I'll try and make some more videos based on sort of individual problems I see. You can always send me a score. You can always ask me for a really specific tutorial. Like, I'm here for you guys, and I love Noteflight, even though sometimes it's hard and complicated. I have a lot of fun playing around on it. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. It was really fun to have this virtual office hours. Okay, bye everyone.